What's good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little. Big Nick the Quick with me, as always. The NBA playoffs are upon us. The play-in games start tonight. We're going to break all that down. We got to talk the Rudy Gobert, Minnesota Timberwolves situation. Of course, the Bulls are in the play-in, so we got to talk about that. I don't know. I wanted them to be in the play-in, but they are there. So we are going to talk about that. They take on the Raptors up in Toronto. We're going to break all that down. We're going to talk about the playoffs going forward, what we like in the East and West outside of what we talked about last week. Then Odell Beckham Jr. down in Miami. He's at UFC 287 to see Israel Adesanya. He then is out bopping around. You know, Nick the Quick spot Prime 112 with Lamar Jackson. They go from Prime 112 to live together.
Of course.
What does that mean? I got a really strong opinion on what this means going forward for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. We'll break it all down. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's get to it.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Big Nick the Quick, what's happening?
How we feeling?
How you doing?
Man, lovely. Man, fresh off a weekend of volleyball. You know how it goes, man.
Yeah, man. For y'all don't know, man, Big Nick is a volleyball dad, bro. Big Nick is locked in on the volleyball grind, and his pockets are lighter, I'm sure.
100%, way lighter. but it's good though. It's good though, man. It was it's one of those proud moments you get to watch your kid start to hit the sports. And then obviously it was her birthday on Sunday, so she turned 13. Nikki's birthday yesterday, so it's been a busy few days over here, man. But we're locked. Play-in starts tonight, man. Can't wait.
Play-in starts tonight. Let's jump right into that. NBA playoffs, they're here. What do you want to talk about first, man? You want to talk about the East side or the West side?
Let's start on the West.
Let's start in the West.
A lot going on over there. Interesting last day of the NBA season in the Western Conference for sure.
I do think that's a little bit more interesting. That's tonight, Minnesota Timberwolves in LA to take on the Lakers, who have been absolutely cooking since the trade deadline. It's as simple as that. I got a couple numbers for you here in a minute, but give me your thoughts, Nick, on the Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson slow-mo situation. Because I kind of got a couple thoughts on that as well that may be going against the grain a little bit. But how do you feel about that going into the season? They end up getting – when Gobert goes out, they outscore the Pelicans in that game 66-53 in the second half.
Of course they do.
They've played 12 games without Rudy Gobert. They're 8-4. Yeah. How do you feel about that? And, of course, Jaden McDaniels breaks his hand on the way out in the tunnel as well.
That's the big one.
So that's the best perimeter defender they have. So that's an issue.
Yeah.
So, talk to me.
So, I mean, regardless, so I'll start first on just the situation to begin with. Like, we've talked about Rudy Gobert here on the podcast. I think you know how we feel about him. It's been clear kind of that he was perpetrator of a lot of clown activity out in Utah, right? Like Spider Mitchell couldn't wait to get away from this guy. There's just always been kind of a weird vibe about him. With that being said, that cannot happen. Just cannot happen. Rudy Gobert is making $30+ million a year. He's supposed to be a veteran on this team. They brought him here specifically to be available in big moments. There's no bigger moment for this team than tonight. And he throws a punch at a teammate on the sideline for what it seems like all he really did was call him a bitch, which, look, I get it, man. Like, bitch is one of those words that, you know, on the street you might catch hands or whatever if someone says it to you. But in an NBA setting, the last game of the season on national television, you just cannot do that. So I feel bad for the Timberwolves. I get that they might play a little bit better when Gobert's not there. But like I said, you brought him in to be available for moments like this, especially going up against LeBron and Anthony Davis. And then you add to it the Jaden McDaniels situation, another acquisition that they made this year to specifically fill a need for them, which was obviously perimeter defense. And to lose him in that type of situation where he's punching his hand against the wall, it's like on the last day of the year, you lose your two big acquisitions this year in completely avoidable situations. So if you're the Timberwolves, you got to be sick. Like 100%, you got to be sick. I think the Lakers are going to steamroll them. I think they were going to steamroll them regardless. But I think losing Gobert and probably to a greater extent McDaniels, because, again, he is their prime defender on LeBron James, it's massive, man. But Gobert's a clown. Like, let's call it what it is. He's a clown. He's been a clown since Utah. He was a clown with the COVID shit. He was a clown with a lot of the Mitchell shit. He was a clown when he didn't cry with the All-Star game. It's been nothing but clown activity from this guy his entire career, and this is kind of like the icing on the clown cake that is Rudy Gobert. So, I mean, that's how I feel about it. If I'm Timberwolves management, if I'm Chris Finch, if I'm the owner, I'm looking at this guy like he is an absolute disgrace because it just can't happen, man. It's not like, from what I saw, and again, I don't know the history between Slow-Mo and Rudy Gobert or whatever, but from what I saw, it did not warrant reaching across multiple individuals to throw a punch in the last game of the season. Handle that shit on the sidelines. Like, again, this is not a rookie we're talking about. This is not a third-year guy we're talking about. Rudy Gobert is an established veteran in the National Basketball Association who 100% knows better. He should be a leader on that team, but again, he's marinating in clown activity, so it's just not possible. That's how I feel about that. They will get steamrolled tonight. Free Ant.
Free Ant-Man. I actually tweeted. I'll say this. I tweeted, put it like this. If that would have been Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, he's not getting suspended. I think this comes down to the very core of nobody fucking likes this guy. Nobody likes him, like as a human. So he gets no grace. You understand what I'm saying? If you like a dude and he misses a rotation on defense, the conversation is like, yo, come on, what's up? Every time anyone gets an opportunity to say something about this guy, it's negative.
Yeah.
I've never, ever heard someone say anything positive about this guy. Like players. I'm not talking about the front office. I'm not talking about the media. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about players in the NBA.
Yeah.
He might be the least likable dude in the entire league.
Without a doubt.
If you poll the NBA players, he's 100% up there at the top of the list. Nobody likes this guy. So it's easy to call somebody a bitch when you think they're a bitch anyway. When you think they're a bitch when they're not grabbing rebounds. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, and listen, to your point.
Or not. It's like, yo, this guy's a bitch. So now he doesn't want to rotate on D. He's a fucking bitch now.
Yeah. and to your point, man, Rudy Gobert, it's not like Rudy Gobert, as far as accomplishments, doesn't have stature in this league, especially compared to Kyle Anderson. Rudy Gobert is a three-time defensive player of the year, a multi-time all-star. So in most situations, a guy like Kyle Anderson, who is a role player, right? Like, people like Kyle Anderson, but he is not on the same level of Rudy Gobert as far as career accomplishments, would never tell a guy like Rudy Gobert to go grab a fucking rebound. You know what I mean? Like, he would never say that unless what you just said, he feels that comfortable to look at a multi-time all-star and multi-time defensive player of the year and a guy who makes 10 times as much money as him and tell him to go grab a fucking rebound. That's all you know about Gobert. It's not like it was Anthony Edwards saying that. It's not like it was Conley saying that. It was fucking Kyle Anderson.
They don't like him. They don't respect him. Yeah. And it's very, very clear. Also, how do I say this? Okay, let me ask you this. If that is, first of all, I'm not sure why he swung on him and then backpedaled and disappeared into the abyss, by the way. What was that? If you're going to
he held himself back.
Yeah, like, I don't understand that.
Well, Jalen Rose talks about that all the time. He said, all NBA fights are hold me back.
But, like, yeah, that dude just sucks. I mean, everything about him sucks. It's just like it's just whack.
Sucks.
Now, let me ask you this. Can Chris Finch and the Timberwolves, Chris Finch is the coach, come out and be like, yo, tempers ran high, no big deal, we're moving on, playing, let's get to it? Do they have to suspend him in that spot? Because it wasn't like he punched him in the face. Like, we've seen some punches. We've seen Chris Childs and Kobe. We've seen dudes get punched. We saw Draymond. We've seen dudes get punched before.
Sure.
This was not that. It was more like, hey, yo, you can't be talking to me like that. Not like hey, it wasn't Bobby Portis and Mirotic, right? You understand what I'm saying? So I think it's a culmination of people not liking him. They feel bad about the trade. They're 8-4 in 12 games without him, and he threw the punch. So it's like, let's just get this guy out of here for the morale.
I do think that punches have all, even whether you connect or not, have always been looked at as like the thing you can't do. You can push, you can do open hand, you can muff. But once you go closed fist, I think that's when again, if you're on the court and you go closed fist, the league steps in, right? Like you hear him on the broadcast, oh, he threw a punch. It's like they know it's coming, right? And that's in a lot of sports. I think once you go closed fist, it kind of changes everything. The only reason he didn't connect is because of what you just said. He threw the punch and kind of went backwards. There's no reason. If Rudy Gobert wants to connect on a punch, he's 7'2".
Well, that's
if
what
he wants to connect on a punch, he can. But
but that's what I'm saying.
He's kind of a bitch.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he still threw it though. Regardless, he threw it. I don't think they could.
Okay.
I think they had to suspend him. I think.
Does Anthony Edwards get suspended?
Yes, I do. But I don't think
Anthony Edwards gets suspended.
I do. Yeah, I really think if you throw a punch, you're getting suspended.
No shot.
And that's the thing. Rudy Gobert knows better, right? You shouldn't put yourself in that situation. And we've seen shit happen, but not in that scenario. Like when you put it all together, like you got to have situational awareness, right? You got to know what's going on. You got to understand the ramifications of throwing that punch, regardless of how hot you got in the moment. And again, I think it does come down to the fact that Gobert is a bitch. Someone called him out on being a bitch, and he felt he had to defend that. I mean, that reaction is crazy. We hear that shit all the time, man. Come on, like the Draymond and KD shit, like Draymond was saying all types of shit to this guy on the sideline. You got to be able to block that shit out. You're in the heat of the moment. This is not his first rodeo. This is not clearly not his first altercation with teammates. We know that. You can't do it. You just can't do it. You can't do it, man. He's a clown.
Is it possible? First of all, Anthony Edwards doesn't get suspended. I'm gonna guarantee that.
Anthony Edwards lands that punch too.
That's a fact.
Hey, that connects.
Yeah, he might have had to get suspended. He might have knocked slow-mo block off.
Slow-mo would have been down, men down.
So, but I just lost my train of thought. That was funny. Yeah, he would have connected on that. But okay, let me ask you this last question, last little point on this. Is this partly because the Minnesota Timberwolves don't have a solidified leader? Anthony Edwards is still extremely young. Connolly just got there.
Yeah.
Like he's been there, what?
You've always
25
called
games?
You've always made Mike Connolly Irish.
No.
Mike Connolly. How you been doing, Mike Connolly?
Okay, Mike Connolly. That's that Chicago in me, man.
Man.
But so like he just got there.
Yeah.
And so he's not like, it's tough to be a leader when you just get to the door.
Sure.
Cat is not a leader
clearly
by nature
at all.
I think that's also part of it too. They seem just a little, it's kind of like they're a little discombobulated at times. And then Ant-Man just is like ignores it all and just goes and makes incredible athletic plays and fills it up.
Which is exactly what happened in that game. I mean, despite everything that happened in that game, he went out there and won it for him. So for sure. But to your point, he's not of age yet to kind of assume that role.
He's just not there yet.
He will though. Like you could tell by how he moves, how he carries himself. Like we've been talking about this guy for a couple of years, and I'll say I was skeptical of him coming out. And I'm just completely wrong. I actually meant to, it's funny you bring him up. We talk about Luka and body composition. Look at Ant. Look at Ant from rookie year to now, right? So you want to talk about guys who kind of took it seriously. Like he looks, as far as like his makeup, completely different, right? Like leaned out. So again, Luka, if you're paying attention, man, it's time to get on that treadmill. But yeah, man, to your point, they don't really have that. And last year, that was Pat Bev for them. And like we talked about it last week, we talked about the Bulls. This guy impacts W's. He impacts winning. He impacts culture. It's not a fluke. We're here in Chicago. We're watching it right now. This Bulls team has been lifeless for 80% of the season until Pat Bev came to town. Like, so I feel like when he's in the building, there's certain shit that's just not gonna fly. And Gobert might not have done that because instead of having to answer to Taurean Prince, he might have had to answer to Pat Bev. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so 100%, man. But again, they need to hold Gobert accountable for that shit because he should know better. If they win, so do you bring him in the second game?
I mean, if they win, probably not.
No, he's out. He's out.
I mean, it's a tough question, man.
I guess there's a second game regardless, right? Because if they lose, they go into 9-10. So do you play him in that second playing? Do you bring him back? If he connected, you couldn't have brought him back.
Yeah, I don't know. That's actually a really interesting question. In all seriousness, I think you do bring him back if he comes and plays no matter what.
Yeah.
But really quick, we'll get to the Bulls later. I want to get to the Lakers, but since you brought up Pat Bev, 14-9 since Pat Bev came into the squad of the Bulls, second best overall defensive rating since Patrick Beverley arrived in his hometown of Chicago.
Only move they made. Yeah.
Before we get over there, let's talk about the Lakers because as much as people don't want to say it, and I'm partly one of them, but I
said it last week.
I actually don't care about the Lakers either way, if they're good or bad. I do want to see LeBron in a deep playoff run. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think it would be big for the league. If we could get Lakers versus Warriors versus Suns, whoever, it'd be a lot of fun. But they're just flat out rolling. Like, let's just say what it is. No way around it. Since the trade deadline on 2/10, February 10th, they're tied for third most wins at 18. Defensive rating is 110.8. That's second in the NBA. Overall net rating, 4.8. That's sixth in the NBA. And then Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, those guys have been playing out of control. Also, for those who don't know, because someone actually DM'd me this the other day, net rating is just offensive rating minus defensive rating. That's all net rating is. It's not this super calculated. Someone asked me about like some analytics stuff. They're like, well, how do you get the net rating? And he was like, he sent these questions about like, he thought you like added up all these other stats. I'm like, bro, it's literally just offensive rating minus defensive rating, whatever that is. That's the
so your better defensive teams are always going to have a really good net rating, I would assume, right? Because
if they could score a little bit, well, like for example,
like Sacramento would have a terrible net rating, right? Because they give up so much.
Well, but they score a ton too, so they're probably like, you know what I mean. If you give up 130 and you score 135, your net rating's 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're a mediocre squad, you're right around that 1 number, which is where the Bulls are at 1.1. Toronto's 1.4, I believe. So, yeah, it's right around there. But anyway, they've been rolling. They've been playing ball. LeBron James has been doing his thing towards the end of the year. It's funny. He tends to get right on time.
Of course, he kind of broke that
record,
a couple weeks off.
Literally, can we recap this? I think it's hilarious. He literally scores 30 plus at will on the Thunder to break the record and disappears for 2 weeks. He goes to the Super Bowl. He goes to wherever. He's been putting on his crown. He's been chilling. He had a party.
He had the party. He was got a great time. Gave a few speeches.
Played a couple more games, and then his foot popped. He's injured. But right on time, he's back rolling. They look a lot better. Anthony Davis is continuing to play really good ball.
His 3-week plantar fasciitis?
Yeah. So, I said jokingly.
You saw the LeBron James of foot doctors.
I said, I saw the LeBron James of foot doctors. The comments on that shit were so funny. They're like, so you saw the second best foot doctor in the world? But
petty.
This is exactly how he's going to be playing basketball the rest of his career. And I'm not mad at him for it. Play 50 games. He's punted on all the all-NBA stuff. He's punted on all the awards. He just wants to get out there and be ready for playoff time. I have to give big credit to Rob Pelinka. He transformed the team in 3 moves.
It was awesome.
He went and got Beasley, Vanderbilt, Russell, and Hachimura. And they've all been a hit. And Austin Reeves has picked it up. So they've been sensational. No chance you're saying they lose to Minnesota.
No. And I think they beat Memphis.
Really? Talk to me about that.
So a couple things on the Lakers. Let's talk about those moves as far as Russell, Beasley, and Hachimura, because they got exactly what they needed, which were shot makers.
Vanderbilt,
like
you can't leave Vanderbilt
and Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah.
Which is a defender, right? And they absolutely needed that. But you talk about a guy like Russell, like this team was desperately lacking in the 3-point shooting department. And since Russell's been on this team, Russell is shooting 41% on just under 7 attempts a game. So absolutely been what they needed. And then you add in Beasley. We know what he can do once he gets cooking. Beasley's one of those guys. He's 100% a heat check guy. Like if Malik Beasley's rolling, like he can pop off for 30. Hachimura, we know what he can do. So yeah, for as far as Pelinka goes, completely transformed that team. I love those moves at the time. I absolutely love them a lot more now. I told you last week, I feel like the Lakers are the team that no one wants to see in the playoffs. And with the way that their bracket is kind of shaken out, I think it's easy against Minnesota. Like, I really think it's easy against Minnesota. LeBron James against a mentally weak team in a quote-unquote must-win situation, because I don't think they want to have to play that second game, obviously, is huge, right? So you win tonight, you get a few extra days off, then you go to Memphis, who has been playing really well. Ja's back. Obviously, they got a lot of swagger to them, but I still like the Lakers in that matchup. And then from there, you have the winner of that Sacramento and Golden State, right? Isn't that where they would go?
I don't have the bracket up.
Yeah, so they'll play the 3-6. So you get the winner of that Sacramento and Golden State, which, you know,
like Lakers Warriors would be a lot of fun.
It'd be a lot of fun, right? It'd be a lot of fun. But again, I think they could beat the Warriors in 7 games. So I think they're set up. If everything breaks the right way, you could see a Lakers deep playoff run, which again, I would have never thought myself saying at the beginning of the year, especially how they were for the first half of the year. So yeah, and LeBron is obviously cooking, man. He wants it. I have no problem with how he handled the year, other than some of the extremely selfish stuff. But I have no problem with him taking time off. I think he's earned that right. I don't think anyone's ever questioned whether or not LeBron James will play through stuff, play through injuries. I mean, there was a long time there where LeBron did not miss games. He's led the league in minutes, or been up there in minutes his entire career. Even now, even when he plays now, he's still playing 36 minutes a night, I believe. So yeah, I have no problem with it, man.
When he's playing, he plays.
When he plays, he plays. But he's 38. But like, it's not like this has been all. But here's the thing: LeBron, even in his prime, LeBron didn't load manage and stuff like that. LeBron was always playing.
He got a lot of minutes on him.
He didn't take time off until it was, I think it was the first or second year in Cleveland. Remember when he just took off like 2 weeks in the middle of the season?
Yeah.
Do you remember? I think it was the first year back in Cleveland. He just randomly
he was like, I'm going to take off like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I need a break.
I need a break. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I forgot about that. Yeah. He was like, I know my body. I know how it works.
Yeah.
And I need 2 weeks off. And then he took off and came back and
on a tear. Yes. Absolutely. All the way to the finals. So yeah, I mean, that prior to that, LeBron was playing 39 minutes a night. So I got no problem with it, man. So I think, again, when you get LeBron in this situation and the way the Lakers have played, the way that this team is gelled, and again, you have confident guys. I've talked about Beasley. You talk about Russell. Yeah. These guys are confident. That's what they need in the playoff series. And AD's been hooping.
I was just gonna say, when you gonna talk about Anthony Davis, you're not worried about him.
I'm always worried about him falling down and not seeing him for 3 months. But while he's on the floor, if he plays like he's been playing, right? I think people now are almost hesitant to kind of heap praise on AD because you're kind of always waiting for the other shoe to drop, which I get. Yeah. But the way he's been playing, man, the last few weeks, really all year when he's played, he's been awesome. So this team has the pieces to make a run in what we talk about, a wide open Western Conference. It's not like Denver, even as a number 1 seed, is a dominant team, right? Phoenix, talent-wise, they have it, but those guys still got to gel and play some games together. The Clippers, who knows what you're going to get, right? Sacramento, a lot of fun, but who knows? Golden State, are all the games at the Oracle? If not, we got some issues, right? Memphis, whoever you want to talk about, it's a winnable conference for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, no question. It's super wide open. I was watching the one more thing on the West before we move over to the Bulls. One more thing on the West. I was watching JJ Redick, old man in the 3. He had on Richard Jefferson. And Richard Jefferson said the team with the most pressure on them is the Nuggets.
I disagreed with that.
And I didn't think about that. But then he got into the details of, I should have pulled the clip. He then got into the details of Malone's been there 8 years.
It's been that long.
Yeah, wow. Malone's been there 8 years. They're now the number 1 team in the West. They potentially had, the 3-time MVP. We were worried about him winning. Now the narrative is that he hasn't won anything. Jamal, they had the excuse of Jamal Murray's not back. Wait till Jamal Murray gets back. Jamal Murray's back. What's up? You don't agree with that at all?
No, so yeah, I had only heard when he said that, but then as you're kind of talking about that, I'm thinking about it, because if you are Denver and it doesn't work this year, you realistically probably can't roll this same squad back out there, right? Like you would have to make some big changes, whether that's at the head coach,
right?
Whether that's at the guys you put around Jokic. But it's like you can't, if they lose in like the second round, you can't say, hey, we're going to run this thing right back, right? Because all your thing, to your point, everything that they needed did come back. Porter Jr. is healthy, Murray's back. Jokic is still playing like an MVP.
AG is now what, his 3rd year over there?
Yeah, you're going to have home court advantage throughout the playoffs. So it's kind of like, if it doesn't work this year, you can't look in the mirror and say, yeah, we're bringing the same thing back. So you will see some pretty big changes within this roster. So there's definitely a lot of pressure on them. I didn't think about it that way, because we kind of like to think about, like I look at like the Suns. To me, it's the Suns. I think the Suns, you can't keep saying like, oh, we'll go another year. Like Chris Paul is 38, 39, and you see he can start to hobble a bit. So I would feel there's some other teams that have more pressure, the Lakers, the Suns. But yeah, when you look at it that way, I guess Denver is for sure. The Clippers too.
Well, the Nuggets, because Malone is on the hot seat.
For sure. Is he in that Budenholzer spot like Budenholzer was that year that he was about to win? Or do you think Budenholzer had more heat because the Bucks were a better team?
It's like this. It's a similar situation, but Budenholzer had made some runs. They had went deep in the playoffs before.
Sure.
The Nuggets haven't really done that yet. And it's just interesting. And by pressure, I mean, if you guys don't get this,
fired that year if they didn't win.
Yes. And Giannis we talk about that all the time.
Giannis could be on this one.
Hey man, that whole shit changed the course of the league.
It changed the state of Wisconsin.
No question. And just like you were saying, so like if Denver comes out and doesn't do anything, the pressure look around. These motherfuckers aren't going to be here if we don't make some noise. Like that's what I mean, pressure. So I thought that was interesting from RJ, and I didn't really think about that either. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what the Lakers do, because as much as everyone doesn't want to say like the Lakers are coming, it looks like they're coming and playing their best basketball right when it's time. So I do think it's going to be interesting. Last point on this before we move to the Bulls. I'm seriously looking at the Timberwolves first half plus 4.5. I believe the emotion coming off of all this noise, no Gobert, the guys that don't like Gobert already, band together and get rolling. They're going to double Anthony Davis a ton to start the game. LeBron might get out and get going. But I could see Taurean Prince slowing him down a touch in the first half. Maybe not, but wishful thinking. But I think 4.5 in a winner go home game, coming off of the emotional shit that they've been dealing with.
You're saying there's no way they come out flat.
Yes.
Essentially.
I think there's no way Minnesota comes out flat.
Because that's what you're betting on.
And I think there's a chance that the Lakers
take their time.
I don't want to say relax, but they've kind of let teams hang in all year.
Yeah, sure.
So I could see the game being tied at half. And then they go on and go ahead and take care of business. But 8 is also a big number for the game. So
it went from what, 5.5 to 8. Yeah.
So,
I don't think Rudy Gobert is worth 2.5 points in any situation, but I think that's a combination of Gobert and Jaden. Yeah, and just the fact that how they went out. Probably
I think it's a combination of.
It's a very large number.
It's a combination of Gobert, Jaden, and then I think there's tons of money coming in on the Lakers.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are betting on the Lakers full game in a spot where they think they should win by double digits. All right, let's get over to the Bulls.
Real quick, I was about to make a point when you were talking about the Nuggets about your boy Kroenke and saying no one's having a better year in sports, with the Nuggets having number 1, Arsenal number 1,
Yeah.
Avalanche got the best
Avalanche are
record.
cooking, too.
Avalanche are cooking. But then when I'm looking up these NHL standings, I knew it had been getting covered. I didn't realize the Bruins have 131 points.
Yeah, bro. They've been going crazy.
Yeah, it's a record, right? They broke a record.
It's like the best. Yeah, it's like the best season ever. Bruins have been cooking. Connor McDavid has been going crazy. He's going to have like 90 points.
They've scored 295 goals and only conceded 171. That is fucking insane.
Yeah, they've been super locked in.
124 goal differential. All right.
Yeah, man. So, all right, let's talk about the Bulls. In Toronto, playing.
Yeah.
Some may say we shouldn't be in this situation.
Nick Nurse's last stand.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. I said this last night on Buckets Action Network, dropping today. Make sure you check that out as well. If Nick Nurse gets packed up, man, you said it too.
I said it.
Bro,
call that man.
Get on the horn ASAP.
Yeah.
I don't care about the extension of Billy Donovan. Yeah. We're not going to pay two guys.
No, it won't happen.
But I would love to see Nick Nurse on the sideline in Chicago.
Funny we talk about Denver and Nick Nurse may be available, because if I'm Denver and Mike Malone doesn't get it done and I'm Nick Nurse and I want to go to a contender, I'm like, hey, Denver sounds very nice. Yeah. Right? Because say what you want to understand. Nick Nurse, I think he's one of those coaches that after a few years kind of wears on you, especially when you stop winning. Right, so those first couple
years, he got that hardball in him.
Yeah, he's got that hardball in him, but you will. But guess what? You will win. So you bring him in there, Nick Nurse. You and I, you were the original. You were on Nick Nurse early that first year in Toronto. Like you're like, hey, this guy's different. Like the things he's doing, like 100%. You were on him that first year that they won the championship. Very, very, very early. Since then, I've become a huge Nick Nurse admirer. I would love to have him in Chicago. I don't think that's going to happen. If I'm him, I'm going to hold out for one of these better jobs that could potentially open up. But yeah, man, point being, if you're unsure about your head coach, you should 100% be back channeling Nick Nurse. He's going to get fired in Toronto. When you start hearing it like that, you already know the deal. Unless they go on some crazy run, Masai's going to make a move. He's going to bring in his Nigerian brother, my man's who's Udoka. It's going to be in Toronto, Ime. I believe. Yeah, Ime. Get him out the country. You know what I mean?
There's something about Ime in Houston, man.
No, you can't have him in Houston, man. It's just like when I was talking about Atlanta, man. You can't have him in Houston. You can't have him in Atlanta. There's certain parts of the country you can't have him in Miami. Those jobs are off the table. He got the Caribbean things, but he's going to out the country. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
He'll be removed from it. Yeah. You can't put that man in Atlanta.
Passport boys.
He won't be able to handle himself. Yeah, exactly. they got to go through customs, man. It'll be more discreet.
He said he may have to smuggle him in across the border.
He's going to be out there. But yeah, Nick Nurse 100% hire that man, because there's only so many head coaches, I believe, in the NBA that actually make a difference as far as X's and O's. And Nick Nurse is 100% one of those guys. The originator of the Giannis wall.
The Giannis wall. It worked too.
Yeah.
So, okay. Bulls in Toronto. I think these are very similar squads in a lot of different ways. The end of the year, their net rating ended Bulls plus 1.1, Raptors plus 1.3. Neither team has been 2 games above 500 all year long. Both squads way better at home. Raptors 27-14 at home, which is 8th best in the NBA. And that's where this game will be played. So that's a big factor. But listen, both teams depend on 3 guys for buckets. Pascal Siakam, Rockford's own Fred VanVleet, and then Gary Trent Jr. Bulls are looking at Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic. Now Kobe White is that 4th guy that has been putting up big numbers.
Contract Kobe.
Contract Kobe White. So he looks good. And I think it's just an overall very close matchup. So the one thing I do like for the Bulls in this spot is I trust DeRozan and Levine and those guys. I kind of bug in my face. Gee, got him. I trust Levine and DeRozan coming down the stretch more than I trust Toronto's guys. It's tough to say because it's very close and the game's in Toronto, but I think DeMar DeRozan in the 4th is top 3 clutch player in the NBA. So I'll take those guys. The spread is 5. I think with Pat Bev in the fold, they've been tremendous on the defensive end.
Man,
they're going to be able to get enough stops. The total is like 214 or something like that.
Yeah.
214. Let me see. Just so I don't butcher that.
Well, the two teams that can 100% struggle to score the basketball for sure. Like you said, they depend on three guys to get their offense.
Yeah. Wow. How do you feel about the matchup?
Yeah, I disagree with that take. I couldn't disagree with the who you trust down the stretch more take anymore.
Why? Because of Levine?
Because you're talking about two guys in Siakam and Van Vliet who have 100% delivered in huge playoff moments before versus two guys in DeRozan and Levine, who Levine has only been to one playoffs, and DeRozan's playoff struggles have always been well documented. Also, going up to Toronto, let's not discount how hard it is to play in that environment in the playoffs. It has always been a place that you just don't want to play. It's like Cameron Indoor over there. Like the fans are, I feel like they're right on top of you. They're vicious. They love that team. They support it hard. You got Drake on the sidelines clapping in your coach's ear. Like, I think it's a really tough spot to play. And I think they're one of those teams. I mean, you said it 27-14 at home. They're one of those teams that gets in the playoffs because of how good they are at home. And I don't think that advantage slips away in this play-in game. Whereas I think you got this Bulls team who, yeah, they've been playing hot, but I don't like them going up there against this particular squad.
I mean, Toronto is long.
Pause.
Toronto is long. They can defend really well. They disrupt things.
Yeah, a bunch of 6'8" guys. Masai loves that.
They can switch everything they need. In a grinded out type of game, I really like DeMar DeRozan. I think I like the Bulls +5 in that spot.
Wow.
I'll take the 5 points. I think it's in a game where 5 points is going to be extremely valuable. I'll take all 5 in a super grinder where it's going to come down to 5 or 6 half-court possessions in the fourth quarter, no doubt.
I don't hate taking the points. I hate taking the Bulls to win.
Yeah.
I'll clarify that. I think you got a good point with the 5 points. I don't think there's any scenario in which the Raptors spank us. But I just don't like the matchup.
Are you upset that we're even in this situation?
Listen, man. I mean,
or are we just? It is what it is. We do this every year.
We do this every year, and it kind of is what it is. At some points, we were never going to be bad enough to where we were going to get like Wembanyama or who's my man's with the strap? Alabama.
You talking about Brandon Miller?
Pop the trunk, yeah. So we didn't get we didn't get Wembanyama.
Come on, Nick.
We didn't get Wembanyama or Pop the Trunk.
Pop the Trunk. What about Scoot Henderson?
Or Scoot Henderson. So we're not going to be in a spot to get those top 3, top 4 guys. So yeah, I mean, let's have a little bit of fun. Listen, man, we know what happened. Shout for folks. He's lucky that shit happened in the South too.
Not Pop the Trunk. That's really crazy.
So yeah, we're not going to get one of those game-changing type guys. And look, based on who they've drafted later in rounds, Dell and Terry, we don't necessarily trust these guys with their draft picks at this point. So why not have a little bit of fun and give me something to do tomorrow night? But I don't mind it. I don't mind it as much as honestly, I did during the guard pack. Remember, during the guard packs era, you especially hated it, but we were really like rudderless at that point. This Bulls team, I don't know, the last couple of weeks have been kind of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just I like this team a lot. I hate this team, and I like this team a lot more than I did on some of those guard pack squads that were grinding out 41 wins.
Yeah, no question. I mean,
even though, like, hey, look, if you get rid of all these guys in the offseason and start fresh, that's cool with me too. But
the real year we were supposed to tank, the draft was so loaded that it was like, even if we get a top 4, 5, we'll get a killer.
Is that the marketing year?
Yeah, that was no. That was the Wendell year.
Oh yeah, he sucks.
And yeah, we just didn't. We refused to do it, and you know how the shit shook out. So yeah. I mean, for me, this is just an extension of the regular season. We'll get if we can get 2 more wins, play 84 games that we actually have a chance in. Cool.
Yeah, why not?
Because if we get the 8, this is sweet.
Yeah. Oh God.
You saw what they did to us last year, Milwaukee. It's not a game.
Yeah, the series on 94. It's over with. Don't go up there.
It's not a joke. It's not a joke up there.
They swept us last year, right?
What?
Yeah, it was an epic sweep. It was like 30
No,
point.
I think it was
Did we
5.
pull one?
I think
Yeah,
we got
did.
one.
I think we did pull one.
I think we got one, and then the other 4 games we lost were like on average like 25 points.
Yeah.
They were smoking us. It was crazy. So we'll see how this shakes in the play-in. Let's get out of here on this OBJ to Baltimore.
Real quick, I do want to say this. Now that it's official, the series that I'm looking most forward to, though.
Okay. Yeah.
And this one's gonna hit home for you. I can't wait to watch Cavs Knicks for whatever reason. I just think it's gonna be fun, tough, gritty. There's gonna be some high-scoring games. There's gonna be some low-scoring games. You don't know what you're gonna get. The cast of characters involved make me excited. I'm very pumped for that series. I think out of all the first round series, that might be the one that I'm most intrigued by. So I just want to get that out real quick.
Yeah, no question. It's going to be a lot of fun. 1
That's
p.m.
7 written all over it.
That's 7. That series starts at on Saturday the 15th. That's game 1 of the actual playoffs. Brooklyn and at Philly tips off at 1 p.m. That'll be fun.
I'm excited for that series.
No. I'm definitely going to get down to Philly or Boston, or I'm too close to all that stuff being in New York not to get to a game. So I'm definitely going to be down in Philly for a game.
Boston's a city I've never had any interest in ever.
I honestly, I really don't. No, never. I actually, maybe I won't go.
Yeah, I'm just zero interest.
I'll just go to Philly. I'll go to Philly, Boston, and
I love cities like architecture and all that. Zero interest in.
Apparently, it's a great city, but I'm
sure.
Yeah.
It's probably a great city for Mike Connolly.
Mike Connolly has a great time in Boston.
The Southie legend.
No doubt. All right, let's get out of here on OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. to Baltimore. What does this tell us? He gets $18 million guaranteed, which is a pretty big number for him coming off of an ACL.
That's a huge number.
So it's a pretty big, it's a commitment. It's Baltimore's way of saying to Lamar, hey, here's a guy to go along with your $30 million franchise tag that you are going to take because you want the money and you're not going to be able to sit. That's what they're telling him. And they've somehow got the rest of the league
on board.
Literally.
Not even call this man.
Literally, the rest of the league is making him take the franchise tag.
It's honestly crazy.
It's actually ridiculous.
His phone should be blowing up left and right. He shouldn't be able to sit down without his phone ringing and saying, "Hey, come play for us." I mean, even from teams that have quarterbacks.
Yeah,
but nobody's calling. Patriots are out. We're all out.
It's crazy, but this is clear indication that Lamar's coming back, or. Because I'm not all the way there yet. I think OBJ got the biggest number he saw and was like, shit, I don't care who playing quarterback.
I don't give a fuck. Tyler Huntley.
Right.
right. 18 M's. Yeah.
Pro Bowl Tyler Huntley.
Well, you got to assume he was getting somewhere between. Did he make the Pro Bowl?
Remember, he was a replacement, Huntley?
Oh, the Pro Bowl is such a joke.
Yeah.
He was probably in that 9 to 11 range at most of his visits, right? Like that. I seem like that's a suitable number, 10 to 12 maybe.
Tops.
Some good incentives. 18 million, no one was coming close to that. I think it's 100%. I think Lamar did his boy a solid. So, hey, man, look, don't worry about me. But if they're offering you 18 million, take it. We'll party at Live. You know what I'm saying? We'll do the whole Miami circuit. It's all good. We'll make it seem like it's all good. But as my final act, I'm gonna convince the Ravens to give you 18 million. Yeah, I'm still do whatever the fuck I want to. Get your money, right? 100%. But that doesn't. I don't think that means anything. I don't think it means a damn thing. I think people are looking way too deep into it. I think if you're Odell Beckham Jr., first off, remember it was hot for Odell last year, and then after that plane shit, it got real quiet for Odell.
Yeah.
I think to your point, Odell took the biggest deal he could get. I think the Ravens were way above anybody else in terms of what they could offer. Also, as far as on-field opportunity, most teams he was going to go to, he would have been a second, third situational type guy, right? And the Ravens, he damn near might be their number one wide receiver. So he's like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, you're going to pay me a whole bunch of money and I'm going to get the opportunity here. Yeah, I'll go. And maybe Lamar will play. If not, I'll still be fine.
And maybe I could get Lamar to stay.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. But I think it's more I took the bigger deal than he sat down with Lamar and Lamar said, hey, I'll be at camp and he said, "All right, I'll sign them."
Yeah. Why would Lamar be recruiting for the Ravens if he's been very public about not wanting to be there?
Yeah. So now they may have had I don't doubt they had a conversation. They were like, "Yo, this is what I'm thinking," et cetera, et cetera. But
I think to your point, his most important conversation with his financial planner who told him to take that deal.
Yes.
That's the call he made.
That's the first call. Yo, Lamar was the second call. Yeah. The first call was to the finational advisor.
Oh, okay. This is what the numbers look like. Yes, take that. Yes. Oh,
yes. No. And
Mr. Beckham.
Hey, Lamar, I'm gonna Mr. OBJ.
Mr. Beckham Jr.
So yeah, I think we're on the same page there. But I think it's a little interesting that I guess it's something that Lamar can hang his hat on. I think he's going to get squeezed to the point where he has to take the 30
or not.
But I think it's a bad situation for everybody because if you force him to take the 30, he shows up to camp at 80% mentally, probably
20 pounds overweight.
He takes the 30, and he's fucking is not locked in.
Look, if he has a stuffy nose, he's not playing.
He'll have the exact same season he had last year. If he gets hurt, there's no timetable.
And minor injury. I'm saying, like, name it. Hammy's going to be
acting. No timetable.
I'm not practicing.
The no timetable is the worst thing you want to hear in an injury. No timetable.
It doesn't feel right yet. Sorry, coach, can't go.
No timetable for a return. Like, he's fried.
I don't feel good, coach. Can't do it. Sorry.
So that's interesting, but we've talked about this ad nauseum about this entire situation. So
it's crazy we've been talking about it for 2 years. It's still going on, and I think for as dug in as everybody talked about Lamar being, it's very clear the most dug in people on earth are the NFL ownership group, and it's not happening for you, man. But now you see, like, what was it, like last week, the week before? They're like, well, he didn't necessarily say he wanted a fully guaranteed deal. Now there's a lot of backtracking going on, and so I don't know. I feel like you're right, man. I think they know that they can hold out a lot longer than he can.
No question.
Like, just a lot longer than he can. The NFL moves on without Lamar Jackson. Does Lamar Jackson move on without the NFL?
Next.
Football life.
Yeah. So, man, we're on the same page there. I think stay tuned because I think it's a lot. We still got the draft to come up. We still got a lot of things going on. So I was reading Hendon Hooker stuff today.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's not getting more juice than Will Levis. I've watched the tape on both, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Hendon Hooker, where's he from?
The guy from Tennessee, the kid from Tennessee.
Oh, he got hurt, right?
Yeah, the ACL.
The black dude.
He was getting ready to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he's about to win the Heisman. Yeah.
So
what about my man's out in Florida?
Trent Richardson? Not Trent Richardson. Anthony.
Shout out Trent Richardson. Stole money. Hey, stole NFL money.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson
could not break a tackle in the NFL. Anthony Richardson's got to be one of the biggest. I thought Trent Richardson was going to be a fucking monster in the league.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson. My fault. Trent Richardson. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
SEC legend.
Legend. What?
Trent could tote it.
Hey, what?
Go watch the tape on Trent Richardson.
Tape on Trent, man. But then he got
college
to the
NFL. College tape.
Yeah, we got to the NFL and literally couldn't break a tackle.
You know what's crazy, man, is I don't even want to go down this.
No, go ahead. I
was going to say that I believe Trent was really bad. But remember that clip that came out where he looked at the hole and ran the other way?
Yeah.
He never recovered from that. And it was like an internet thing. And I've seen the internet like kind of bury people, which is like shouldn't be the case. But do you remember when Tennessee hired that coach and the internet like didn't like it and they reversed it? Hold on. Do you remember that?
I feel like I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Twitter outrage. Yo, they hired Greg Schiano. Remember
Greg
that?
Schiano, yeah, the Rutgers dude. And then it came out that he had some shit had happened and they 100%.
Dude, Twitter went ballistic and they flipped it.
And we haven't seen Greg Schiano since.
I haven't seen Greg. He literally went from having an SEC job to it's the power of the internet's real.
Shout out Greg Schiano. He's the head coach at Rutgers right now.
Yeah, he went back to Rutgers. Yeah.
Went back to Rutgers, yeah. So, he had been at Ohio. He had been at Ohio State. He was the head coach of the Bucks. Yeah, he was the head coach of the Buccaneers for a year. 2012, 2013 was head coach of the Bucks.
Oh, that's right. And he went Rutgers. I think he went Rutgers to Tampa Bay, back to like an assistant coaching. Then he got a job for Tennessee. They were like, "Nah, we're not doing that.
No, we don't want this."
And then he went back to Rutgers.
Yeah.
So
it's quick.
Yeah, it's just different.
It's just different. It's just different.
Different type of heat in the SEC.
It's just different.
Yeah, we were talking about that Bud Light stuff in the group chat yesterday.
Man, what's wrong with people? Kid Rock shooting cans of Bud. These people are so bothered.
Said go woke, go broke.
Go woke, go broke. I'm gonna drink Coors Light. Eli said the best when someone said I'm gonna drink Busch Light instead.
No
it's
more
like,
Bud Light. I'm drinking Budweiser.
Go for it. Yeah.
You fucking idiot.
Clout.
All right. We'll leave it there. No Catch Us Sports Talk via Chicago. For Big Nick the Quick, I'm your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe everywhere. We got a lot of NBA stuff coming in this next couple months. You already know how we get when the playoffs start. Until next time, we'll see y'all. No Catch Us Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's get it.